Hello? Does that sound good? Okay, we'll do this. All right, guys, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. If you guys can, I guess this is fine. I just like for us to be closer because then I don't have to yell or whatever the case may be. Oh, you want to be closest to the charger. Got it. That makes sense. Hey, that's all right. I'm not going to get in the way of your charger. All right, so thank you for joining us today for the Virginia Real Estate Business Planning Workshop. My name's Dan Rochon, and I'm going to be facilitating a class today. So I want to hear who you are and maybe one thing that you want to get out of the class today as well. And what I can tell you about the intention of today's class is to, so I've been selling real estate for 12 years and have had a fair amount of success in selling real estate. And we've really documented the process of how we sell real estate. And that's what I want to share with you today. So this is just one way that you could implement, and maybe you could take chunks or bits and pieces out of what I have here to share with you. And I have any single script that we have that I'll be able to share with you. I have everything available online as well. That's in one central place. So after the class, if you just let me know, I can email you that. Every single link for anything that we have for accountability, anything that we have for scripts, anything that we have for processes, it's all mapped out for you. All right. So that's a little bit about me. Let's hear a little bit about you. So who would like to start? Just say who you are and what you'd like to get out of the class today. Okay.
So that's when I saw this class, I thought.
So systems and a plan?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's sort of taking bold, but I felt like I needed this more than I need bold right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Got it. Got it. You want to speak into that? So hold on one second. So before all right. So Wendy, so systems and a plan, and really looking for a marketing.
I really want to understand more marketing. You know, like even questions like this, like, so how did you start designing postcards or mailers that actually sort of got you something? You know, like I really don't necessarily want to spend a lot of money on postcards that are just going to, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like, I'm sure there's a bad way, a good way, and a better way.
Okay. I can right after we're done with this, I can handle that in about 15 seconds.
Okay.
All right, the postcards piece. So who you are and what you'd like to get out of today's class.
My name's John Irvin. I have my own company. It's called Irvin Realty, and I'm here to kind of just see if I could pick up anything new. See how you're doing things. Obviously, you have a successful brokerage, so I'm trying to see what I can pick up from that and take away.
So something specific?
Kind of to what you said, the marketing aspect, and definitely the systems, something to kind of make the business a bit more predictable than what I already have now, and see how we can make things happen.
All right, awesome. Predictability.
I'm Shashi Patel, and I've been with Keller Williams for the last 12 years. And then I joined at the same time Keller Williams. I'm here to learn how to design the website and how to market online, not mailing card or anything, just emailing.
What's the second thing, Sashi? You said website, what else?
Email.
Email marketing.
Email marketing.
I'm Tracy. I'm Dan's better half, and I'm here to support him and hopefully learn something.
Cookie orders.
Cookie orders, okay.
It is Girl Scout cookies.
I'm Chris Thomas. I'm from this office, and that's great that you guys are a team. My husband is looking to join, but that's somewhere down the line. Maybe I'd want to get some tidbits on that today. I mean, just, like, kind of just a little bit. But really, I'm here to refine my systems. I've been doing real estate for 3 years now, and I feel like I have a grasp of it, and I've had some success, but I feel like I could have more of a success if everything was systemized and, you know, all of that.
Hi, I'm Svetlana, known here in this office as Lana Epler. I'm here since April. So far, was trying to understand how does business work. Very much appreciate the system. A little bit confused if it's this business for me because I'm not a salesperson in general. I'm very good researcher and very good analytic. So I'm still, trying to find the way how I'm able to survive in this ocean. Yes, because my main problem, for example, I'm not the person who could jump on people and convince them what I will be the one what they have to choose to sell their home. It's absolutely against my guts. It's you need to build the trust. And this is the second thing coming out. Do you have a time to build this trust? Because to build the trust, you need to time consumption. It's not you cannot build it over in one day. Because my life normally we're jumping every couple years from country to country, so I'm like a little bit on different cycle of the life. So I need to learn how to grade the space, the time, make the system work, adjust specifically for my, and also how to be creative. As it, yes, the people touch to hear marketing pieces. They general, right? I have at home like big folder. I've been collecting all of the postcards from the agents who've been arriving to our home, just to see if any of them will catch my eye. You recognize the faces because you saw them already many times on the street. You know perfectly well who's farming your neighborhood because they're around. But it's not, you can see people who are still using the old fashioned, some companies who does it. It's not, there is not, it's like something missing there. But I haven't got yet what missing there because sort of one copying another, sort of trying to implement some new stuff, but it doesn't work well because they're not professional in it. So, and they just sort of, okay, I'm just going to sound like this.
Who are you? What do you want to get out? Oh, okay. Hello? Okay, my name is Fred Sales. I'm actually with Dan's team, Greetings, Virginia. Right over here, Falls Church. And yeah. And today I want to, everything that's on the board is pretty much what I want to get out the class, but I want to say the closing of the deal, contract to close. I want to learn more about that. The process of every step, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yeah, that would be included. Yeah, that's before that.
Good afternoon, Alfonso Torres here. I'm not with Keller, so I'm visiting here. But as far as what I want to get from the event, systems, just overall flow, what's working out in the marketplace, what's working for you.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Sorry, I'm a little tardy. I missed beginning. Just trying to keep an open mind and just get some more information in general. Not specifically.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Sunny. I'm 22 years old. I graduated from Penn State University. I am a district manager. I handle a couple of restaurants, a couple of bars on the East Coast up to Miami. So just really trying to do good things, really trying to do big things. And I look at organization. Organization is like the biggest thing for me. Like I really want to see like a work ethic, a work schedule, something that's really organized, something that is plan to plan, one thing to the next, XYZ. So, when I looked at this ad, originally, I was looking at real estate investing. So I was looking at like wholesaling, fixing, flipping, and I realized, the best way to actually get into real estate, put your foot in the door, is to, get your license. So really what I'm looking for is to, be part of the team, to get my license, to get, on the board with things as soon as possible. Yes, organization.
All right, thank you.
Oh, hi. I'm Jason Kurtgate. I'm new to Keller Williams, like a week. And, everything here that's listed is a little bit more, than I thought was going to be presented. It was the planning. Yeah. Yeah, the planning and the goal setting. I was like, I don't know how you're going to spend 3 hours talking about that, but that's actually, yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm just here to get a good look. I've seen a lot of your video blogs, video advertisements, and I thought you'd be a good speaker to listen to. So here we are.
Nice to meet you, Jason. Chris wants to speak.
Okay, just real quick, how to move a client down the funnel or a customer down the funnel all the way to closing.
I love that you said that. That's like my favorite thing. I love it, because that's the way I think about the process. I think about it as a process. I think about it as a funnel. One more. You want to introduce yourself and say what you'd like to get from today's class?
Oh, okay. Yes, my name is Tony Tran. I'm looking for to see if just curious because I see your email and asked me to go to the workshop. So I'm looking forward to see how to increase the customers or clients and expand my business, increase the revenue for the new year.
Okay, Tony. So thank you very much, Alyssa. All right, so Tony said increase business and increase revenue, and I added on there, with your permission, Tony, increase profit. Is that okay? All right, because one of the things that you'll find in real estate sales is a lot of revenue does not necessarily correlate with a lot of profit, and that's something that if you don't have a plan, you don't have a budget model, it's really easy to be able to sell a lot of homes and not make money. Would you guys believe that that's true? Okay. So what we want to do today is we want to come up with a plan of how we can sell a lot of homes and have a good profit. And hopefully, if you're a part of a team or you're building a team, or hopefully you're able to impact other people's lives as well. Okay, guys, that's something that's important to me. It's just not about. In fact, it's more important to me that Fred succeeds, right? Because when Fred succeeds, I know that as a natural byproduct of that, then there'll be success within the business. And there's a whole bunch of people online right now that are watching us that are part of our team as well. It's important to me that they succeed as well. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to go through 7 steps today. We're going to go through personal development. We're going to go through lead generation. We're going to go through lead conversion, presentations for buyers, presentations for sellers. Tracy, can you do me a favor and just click so I can click through on the power slide back there, please? Just click onto the power slide there, please. Buyer and seller onboarding, transaction management, getting referrals and testimonials from your client base, and building a team. So those are, I think that's more than 7. I said 7, but you got it? Okay, perfect. Oh, well, no, there you go. No, there you go. That's good. Just keep it right there. Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so those are going to be the things that we're going to go through today. All right, and through that, we're going to make certain that everything that you guys had asked about here, that we touch on that. Is that okay? You guys good? All right. How you feeling? You got good energy? Yeah. Woo.
You coming through good and strong. Just make sure you ask anybody questions. If I wrong, make sure you repeat the question because they can't hear them at all.
Okay.
So you don't have a mic and talk. Make sure you repeat the question or give them a mic.
Okay. Shane just said that if someone talks, I'm supposed to repeat it into the microphone. See? That's right. Thank you, Shane. All right. So let's talk about personal development. So personal development is really the foundation of our success. Okay, because when we have a good mindset, then we're going to take good actions, and then when we take good actions, we're going to have good results. Would you guys believe that? So I want to start off the program today with really talking about a foundation, and talking about a foundation of how can you really help to think in a manner that somebody that is successful, that does what we do, how can you think in a manner that's going to allow for you to have that same level of success? So there's some books here that I'm going to make recommendations for you, and I can share this power slide with you, so please take notes, but also at the end of the presentation, make sure I get your contact information. I'll share all the information with you. So these are some books that I really recommend that you consider to read. The first one is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is a book that's written by Gary Keller, Jay Papasan, and Dave Jenks. And in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, it is a book about models. There's 4 primary models that are taught in that book. Does anybody know what one of those 4 models may be? Budget model, organization model, you're close, economic model, lead generation model. When in doubt, just say lead generation, and the odds are you're probably going to be like at least a 50% chance of getting that right. So those are the 4 models that are taught in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Now, this was written several years ago, and there are some revisions to this, but the revisions to the book that haven't been published yet, or some of it's sort of been published in some of the curriculum in Keller Williams, but the revisions are really, honestly, they're just small nuances of revisions. Okay, there's a besides the organizational model, because the organizational model really goes into expansion. But beyond that, for example, the economic model, when you're looking at the result, the activity that leads to a result, the nuances of differences are very, very small. So I'll give you an example. In the economic model, Gary, in the MREA book, it suggests that for every 12 people that you systematically market to, that you systematically communicate to, that you get 2 pieces of business as a return. Okay, now you have to do so, you have to communicate with them 33 times a year. This is in the MREA 1 book. So in that book, it describes to you to say if you communicate with somebody 33 times a year, the result will be that of 12 people that you do that, 2 people you'll get business from. So why do they say it's 12 to 2 instead of 6 to 1? Good guess. It's one of them is going to be, in the guess was 2 sides to a transaction. One of those 12 is going to be a referral to you. One of those 12 is going to be that person that needs your service. Okay? So there's 12 people, and then for 6 of those 12 people, one of those 6 people is going to refer somebody to you, and for the other 6 of those 12 people, one of those people are going to need your services. Okay, but you have to do this. You have to communicate with them 33 times a year. What's your question? Sure.
And then someone said to me one day, per year.
Per year, yes.
And I said, yeah. And then I started thinking, it must be per year. I mean,
It is.
based on 33 touches or whatever, and that's a year's worth. But I guess the whole point is within those 12 people, maybe the same person will refer you more, but another person might not need your business. So it rotates every 12. I got it. Okay. It's just every
here's yeah. Here's what you have to understand about that is, first of all, it takes about 8, and they don't say this in the MRA book. This is from my personal experience and from masterminding with other top performers. It takes about 18 months for that 33 touch system to kick in and give you a return. So if you start the 33 touch system today and you're expecting that you're going to get a return 6 months from now, you may get a small return, but it's really not going to be giving those returns of a 12 to 2 until around 18 months. And that's when you're consistently communicating. Now, MRA 2, the numbers are a little bit different. They say it's 10%, and I think it's 36 touches is what they say. So either way, it's the same concept. It's just the difference is just in regards to the way the amount of communication and what the return's going to be. Now, my sales team, we communicate with our database something like 80 sometimes a year. Okay, so does that seem excessive to anybody? Right. Yeah. So what we found is as long as you're communicating from different methodologies, and as long as you're communicating from contribution and value, it's not excessive. Okay. And so, for example, we do 4 client appreciation events a year. We do 24 video email. You mentioned that you received those video emails, right? So we do 24 video emails a year. We do 12 postcards a year, and in those postcards, actually we're changing from a postcard to we're changing it to market statistics and market information, right? So every single thing that we share with somebody, we do so from a place of how can we share value and how can we share contribution, and that's the key ingredient to the success of that program. So that's an example of one of the 4 models in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Another book, because we're talking about setting the foundation of the way that we think. Open by Andre Agassi. Has anybody in here read Open? Okay. Do you know who Andre Agassi is? Tennis player. Yeah, he was married to Brooke Shields. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm Steffi Graf. Okay, so Andre Agassi was a world-class tennis player. I'm going to make a recommendation that if you choose to read Open, that you actually don't read it, get it on Audible. This is the one book that I really would recommend that you listen to. It is a fantastic listen. And why I recommend that in this curriculum is because in the book Open, Andre Agassi goes through his life's journey. It goes through how he actually hated to play tennis. His dad made him play tennis. He goes through his drug abuse. He goes through his failed marriage. He goes through a lot of a turmoil to be able to create the success that he created. And one of the things that I realized when listening to that book is that he was doing really good as a tennis player, top of the world. But one day he got a revelation, and he started to build a charter school out in California. And his entire world transformed when he had a reason of why he could be successful, because he realized that now he can help children that were in need. And when you listen to the book or read the book, you'll see that journey that Andre goes on, and you'll see how he's like a really fantastic professional tennis player, but then he becomes the best in the world. And he becomes the best in the world is when he really understands that he can do something for a reason. Like, he didn't have a why before, except for the fact that his dad said, hey, do this, and put him in all these situations, and he was really good at it, right? But then he realized, like, oh my goodness, I can do this for a greater cause, and his world's transformed. So that's Open by Andre Agassi. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Who's read that here? Okay, a few people. Okay, so Think and Grow Rich. What are some of the concepts that are taught in Think and Grow Rich? Do you recall? You don't really need an education to be successful? Okay. Like a formal education? Okay, I'll buy that. Mindset, right? Like, look at what's the title of the book? Think and Grow Rich, right? So we're talking about the foundation right now, right? Now, it's not just think and grow rich, it's think and take action and grow rich. Okay, so to be, to be appropriately titled, there is action in there, yet without the thought, you're not going to be successful. I had a colleague recently shared with me when I shared up what we're going to obtain in 2019, and that individual shared with me, well, we've never done that before. And I said, well, you're right. We've never done that before. Yet, I have a full belief and a full faith and a plan that will allow for us to hit those goals that we're gonna hit. Okay. Now, if I didn't have that faith and that belief, and I didn't have that plan, then the odds are, yeah, you're not gonna hit it. All right. But when you have the plan, when you have the faith, when you have the belief, when you have the understanding in every cell in your body, the odds are much more likely that you're going to be able to hit those goals. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. Instant rapport by Michael Brooks. So what's rapport have to do with sales? Yeah, your clients have to trust you. How do you know when you're in rapport? You can feel it. They do what you tell them to do. Okay? So rapport is actually a physical feeling. Have you ever been in a communication with somebody and you felt it, on your chest or your, on your insides there, and you felt connected to somebody? Yeah, it's that energy, right? So when you have that energy with somebody, that's when you're truly, truly connected, and that is the highest degree of rapport. Okay, it is a physical manifestation. So instant rapport. So when we are able to understand how we can more rapidly develop rapport with those that we're interacting with, then we'll be able to, as John says, to get them to do what you want them to do, which in most, well, not in most cases, in all cases, is going to benefit them, right? So as we know, sometimes in sales, sometimes in real estate sales, sometimes our clients sort of get in their own way. Right. And so for those that are highly skilled, we understand to say, how do we take somebody that may get in their own way and sort of guide them to doing what's going to best serve and best serve them. And sometimes that takes a high degree of skill. The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. So does anybody know the defining question in The One Thing? Oh, you're so close. Good job, Chris. What's the one thing that you could do so that everything else becomes either easier or unnecessary? That is the defining question. Okay? And so what Gary Keller and Jay Papasan do is they do an extensive research into highly productive people. We all have the same amount of hours. Would you agree with that? Some of us produce different results than others. Now, this isn't just about business, by the way. Okay, this is also about areas of spirituality, areas of family, health, fitness, anything that's important to you. Okay, and by the way, some of these are, some of these will bounce back and some of them won't. Okay, so for example, your health. Your health is a pretty important thing because if you lose your job, or you lose your business, or you don't succeed in business, can you get up tomorrow and start over? Yeah, absolutely. If you lose your health, you may not be able to. Okay, so just some of the things just to consider. There are everything's important, right? But there's some things that may be more important than others because without it, nothing else can happen. If that makes sense to you guys. All right, so that's The One Thing. 4 Disciplines of Execution, which is by Sean Covey. The 4 Disciplines of Execution, it's a management book, and it's a book about understanding how to framework a business into a system so that you can focus on the most important activities of that business, so that you can have consistent accountability. Okay, and Keller Williams, one of the things that I'm pretty certain got taken from this book that no one's ever told me that is something that's called our 4 conversations. Is anybody familiar with the 4 conversations? All right, so what's the 4 conversations? Okay, you said appointments. so this is appointments. This is how many times you get hired. This is the wall of value. What's this? Almost. Closings. And that's profit finally, okay? So the appointments lead to how many times you get hired. How many times you get hired leads to closings when you provide a high degree of value. And the closings then lead to profit. So this is an example of a type of scoreboard that they describe in the 4 disciplines of execution, and one that we use in our company, and one that we use on our sales team. Okay, Fred, how often do we review this? Every day, right? This is the player's scoreboard. Now, the coach's scoreboard is different. The coach's scoreboard, I'm looking at profitability. I'm looking at expense. I'm looking at revenue. I'm looking at performance. Okay, I'm looking at key performance indicators of our social media initiatives. I'm looking at how many people are watching on Facebook Live right now. Okay, those are the things that the coach is looking at, but it's hard to really, for us to sit there and discuss that every single day and to make sense of it, to allow for us to be productive. But what's easy for us is to sit there and say, okay, how many appointments did you have today? And when you know how many appointments that you have today or this week, then you're able to understand and say, okay, well, what's my conversion ratio? Okay, we use on our sales team, we use a 75% conversion ratio. So we say for 75% of the people that we go meet, we should get hired. Once we get hired, we say it's 75% of that go to closing. Okay, so now if you can use your own metrics on this, right? I found that 75% is a good, easy number. So it's basically from appointments to closing. For every 2 appointments that I have one closing, if that makes sense. Now, if I sit there and I say I'm going to use, and this is a little bit of a low ball, I'm going to use $10,000 as a gross commission. That's assuming that you're not on a team. Okay, so I'm going to use $10,000 as a gross commission. Now I can sit there and I can backtrack. How easily can I understand what my goals are? You can just easily backtrack it, right? So $10,000 equals. How about now? All right, cool. All right, so classes to attend. So Wendy had mentioned earlier about bold. Okay, Bold is business objective life by design. So Bold is a class that's actually starting next week. So if you're not in Bold, and here's the deal, I'm not in any sort of leadership at all, right? So I share this with you because it is a firm belief that I have seen people's lives transformed by going to this curriculum. I have attended it 9 times. This will be my 10th time attending it. I have seen people get married as a result of Bold. I have seen people get divorced as a result of Bold. And I have seen, in one case, I saw a lady's life got saved. The Bold coach, and this was when I was in a leadership capacity, had shared with me about an agent that that worked for us that had written a note about how the class actually saved her life and how she was considering to end her life. Okay, so that's more than just about sales. Okay, now, does it teach you sales? Yes, it does. Does it teach you the habits of a high-performing agent? Yes, it does. But what it really teaches you is how to live a life by design rather than a life by default. And that's something that that I would say is one of the most useful classes that I've been to. Other things that you consider is family reunion. You consider Tony Robbins events if you've not gone to those. A neurolinguistic programming, that's a class that I've gone through a lot of training on NLP, which is really the study of how we exist with each other. It's a study of how we communicate with each other, right? Because a lot of times we go through life and we just sort of think and we sort of contemplate that we're like in this, this shell, this body, and we don't really consider the fact that we're energetic beings that are spiritual beings within a physical manifestation. Okay, so that's something that when you study that, then you'll be able to connect with others at a higher level. Okay, so that's some of the classes I recommend. The other thing that I recommend. Okay. Yeah, it's, I don't know how. Thank you, Shane. Okay. Where were we? All right. So get it on your schedule, right? That's the priority. That's the important part here. All right. So now we're looking at contacts, right? So a contact is defined as what? A name and number and email address. Okay. That's what you would want. A contact is defined as a conversation. That's a two-way conversation. Okay. Now, for me and our sales team, we are a little bit flexible. In Bold, they teach you that a contact is a voice-to-voice. For me, I teach that a contact is a two-way interaction. So, for example, yesterday I left a voice message for a buyer that's in California, and this morning, and I just remembered this, I won't do this now, but this morning he texted me back, Dan, give me a call, or, all right, hold it, where is it? He texted me back, Dan, send me a text when you're available today. I count that as a contact. We haven't talked, right? But it was a two-way interaction, okay? And it's a two-way interaction for the purpose of real estate transaction. So that's a contact. So when we're looking at the efficiency, we're looking at 1 to 4 contacts an hour. That would be a low effectiveness. 10 to 12 contacts an hour would be a high effectiveness. Now, there's some tools that you can use to increase the amount of contacts. If you're comfortable with phone calls, if you're comfortable with cold calls, what I do is I use a system called Mojo, which has a triple line dialer. Using that triple line dialer allows for us to make 20 contacts in about an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, depending on the time of the day. So that's 20 conversations. That's a two-way conversation. Now, if someone says to me, screw off, does that count? Absolutely. It doesn't matter what they say. The only thing that matters is I make the request. And the request is one of two things. It's either, are you in the market to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate, something along those lines, or who do you know that's in the market to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate that I give a call to today? Somebody from your church, or somebody from your family, or maybe somebody from your workplace. Well, thank you for thinking about that. So you don't have anybody? Okay, well, no worries. So who do you know that may have know of somebody that's in the market to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate today? Right? That would be an example of a conversation that you could have. Did that sound relatively natural when I just shared that with you? Why do you think that that came off as relatively natural? Do you think I've ever said that before? Right, at least 20 times a day. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So, types of lead generation, we touched on this a little bit previously. So, your sphere of influence, let me tell you, the number one resource of anything that you could do would be your sphere of influence. When we look at what are some of the challenges that we have in the real estate sales industry today? John, you've been around for a little bit. Sure.
So you'll get maybe a client or referral or somebody that says, hey, I want to go see this house, but it's actually off the market.
So it's perceived, it's the perception that the consumer has the same access to data as you do. Yeah, absolutely. What other challenges do we have in the marketplace right now? Inventory, a lot of agents. The biggest challenge that I've seen in the 12 years that I've been selling real estate, there's always been discount brokers. There's always been technology. However, the technology is greatly increasing, which allows for the discount brokers to be more prominent. And then the discount brokers then have an impact on our marketplace. So if I was to sit there and share with you a word that I didn't know 10 years ago, that I would describe has negatively impacted our real estate sales environment and has negatively impacted the consumer, it's the word commoditization. Does anybody know what commoditization means? It's something that the value is not seen. Okay, so when the consumer no longer sees the value, how does that hurt the consumer? They think that the internet, that they have all the information that they need, yet they don't understand. They've never heard of what a Virginia Residential Property Disclosure Act is. Right? That's like what? So it's having a misperception because there is a lot of information that's available. Yet, when we talked about negotiation right here, right? The consumer, when I sell, I'm an investor and I sell my own property. When I sell my own property, I remove myself from the transaction. I don't negotiate on my own behalf. Okay, Tracy, who just left, she represents my interest in those transactions. I purposefully do that because I know that I have too much emotion, okay? And she thinks differently than I do. She'll tell me the truth when I'm all optimistic. I will make $500,000 on this property when it's worth, $478, whatever the case may be. Okay, so she's more realistic and I'm more optimistic, and that's a good partnership, right? But I understand that I have to remove myself from the negotiation, and a smart seller can understand that as well. All right, so these are some of the things that have gotten in the way of our real estate marketing right now. I'm not sure how I got on that. I got sort of down a bunny trail there, I think. But other ways to lead generate. Other ways would be circle prospecting, would be calling expired for sales by owners, would be farming. I know that that a lot of us, I know how I got on that. I got on that because I was talking about these are some of the challenges in the marketplace, but what can you protect? What's the one thing that can protect against a lot of that? It's your relationships. Okay, so when I have that 450, 475 relationships that we're communicating with on a consistent basis, odds are they're going to think of me. Odds are they're going to rely on me because they know the care that I have, they know the expertise that I have, the experience that I have, and they know that I'm going to be able to help them more than something on the internet could. Both. When I started real estate sales 12 years ago, my sphere was 0. Okay? It was 0. I was working as a waiter at a really nice restaurant. And the only sphere that I really had was my colleagues in the workplace. And that have integrity in regards to the promises that you have yourself, because if you can't be in integrity with yourself, I'm not sure how you can be in integrity with anybody else in the world. What other ahas? 20 conversations a day. Okay. Find your niche that you'll feel comfortable. Now listen to the second half of that. I didn't really emphasize the second half of that too extensively. Then do that on steroids. You got it? Find what you're comfortable, find what you're skilled at, and then freaking knock it out of the park. And just hammer down on that, hammer down on that, hammer down on that. Right? Like on steroids. That's how the successful get successful. All right, what's one more aha? $10 to $12 an hour is high effectiveness. Yeah. 10. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, if I had a zero database, I would do, I just shared with you what I did when I had a zero database. I created a networking group. Now, here's the key to success with networking. BNI, it's a networking group. In fact, the owner of the local BNI. If I'm networking and I'm in this room right here, and there is a florist, a coffee barista, because he's the one I can help. You guys got that? I'm choosing the flooring guy. Yard sale, but not, that word, that seems like a high, like a high end. Yeah. I don't want to be derogatory to what he does, because that seems like, yeah. No, it's sales for valuable items for when somebody passes or they're downsizing. Yeah, personal belongings. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't on. I just turned it back on. Thank you. Here, you tell me if the red light's on or not. All right, guys. So that's lead generation. So lead generation leads to lead conversion. Who was sharing with us before? They were talking about the funnel. Yeah. So understand, just like look at the process of what we're doing here. We're talking about personal development, and then personal development goes into lead generation, and then lead generation goes into lead conversion. What most agents that are actually successful in the business, most agents that are successful in the business have a lead conversion problem, not a lead generation problem. Or they may have a resource opportunity. Maybe they don't have. Yeah, I can explain that. So for example, if I have somebody today that says that they, okay, so okay, so the first step of the process is to do an intake. Now you're going to do an intake with sellers. You're going to do an intake with buyers. Sellers and buyers care about two different things. What does a buyer care about? Homes. What does a seller care about? Selling their house. Does the buyer care about you as an agent? No. Not initially. Not till the relationship and the rapport is established. A seller does care about you as an agent. It's important that you understand that at the initial part of the process. Because when you understand that, then you understand when a buyer is approaching you and you sell yourself, do they care? So what do you want to sell when a buyer is approaching you? You want to sell, yeah, you want to show them the homes, right? the motivation is good. Is there's a lot of people that are motivated, but they don't have the means. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're qualifying for both. Yeah, there's two things that I'm looking for with a seller. That you should identify. The second thing, and listen to the way that I asked this question. John, what are your expectations of me as your real estate? The price that he wants. But did you hear the way I asked that question? It's a very assumptive close. What are your expectations of me as your That's going to be the first thing we're going to talk about when we sit down to talk. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm going to write down, not jerk you around. I'm going to put that in quotation marks. When I go on that appointment, I'm going to be sitting across from the table from John and his wife. Oh, sure. Yep. And I got blank intakes up here. Hey, it's Dan calling you. This is Dan Rochon with Keller Williams Realty. How are you, sir? I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing? All right, okay. So first, yeah, it's time. Uh-huh. Okay, well, tell me more about that. You have a few minutes to talk? All right, cool. Some space for your lady. I got you. I got you. Now, typically, I'm going to. Okay. Have you done any updates since you've owned it? All right, what type of updates have you done? How long ago did you do those? 3 years ago. So when they say new, always ask how long ago did they do it? Because new can be. Yeah, all right. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, Fred, how would you rate the condition of the property? 10 being the best. Okay, a 9. That sounds great. What would it? Staging the right way for the buyer. That. And it doesn't work, not as effectively. Or you can control a conversation. How do you control a conversation? Asking questions. Okay, so I find information from them. and I'm leading. Okay? Ready. All right. And Fred, if the property didn't sell, what would you do next? So you're selling your biggest asset here. You want someone to guide you in the right direction. So when I meet with him, what am I going to say to him? So Fred, I know you're looking for someone that's going to guide you in the right direction. Yeah. And I know you're looking for someone that you can trust. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to help you and to be able to guide you in the right direction. You guys got that? So now you're feeding that back at that point. And so, Fred, so just out of curiosity, what do you think the property's worth at this point? 500, okay. And you bought it 10 years ago. What did you buy it for? 420, okay. And you still have a mortgage on it? Okay, how to handle the objection and turn the conversation. Okay, and how specifically do you do that? By asking questions. Okay. Sure. Yeah, I think follow up is the and it's easy to follow up as long as you have. I got it. It works now.
You know the one what you can click on then you can.
No volume again. We got volume.
Because by accident, sometimes when you're holding it, you're just pressing.
Yeah, the battery's died. Okay. Oh shoot! Now my PowerPoint's not on. All right, guys, we're going to get started again. All right, Facebook Live. Sorry for the lack of volume. Guys, let's go ahead and get started. These shoes are not designed for this floor. All right, guys, we'll give a few minutes to get started back up, but while we do that, what are your ahas from the class so far? What are your thoughts? What are your questions that we haven't gone over? Okay. Yeah. Here's the deal. Somebody asked, what CRM do you use? It's whatever CRM works. To me, if I didn't have a sales team, this would be my CRM. Right? Like this is my preference. So I use this for leads. I don't use it for the entire CRM, but whatever CRM you're going to use is the CRM. Yeah. Depending on who they are. So, for example, let's see. I'll grab one from today. So this guy just came in today, right? So he's on the top. So he still has follow up for today. This guy here came in a few days ago. Was a referral to me, and he came in on the 6th. Left him a voicemail on the 6th, the 7th. Text him on the 8th. Sent him an email on the 8th. Today's the 9th. I'll give him a call again. Yeah, yeah. And I just cross through it, and then I highlight it with just yellow, and I just for the next step. So when I look at that, it's easy for me to see when's the next step. So the next step for this, actually I didn't update that. I should have. It says text on the 8th, and I either didn't do it yesterday or I didn't color it in. So this is a better one. So this one here, call on the 9th. And it's that simple. And then on the next page here, it's got a bunch of notes for this guy. So there's my notes for this guy. And it's that simple. Okay, so first of all, the longest you want anybody to go is 3 months. Okay? And the way that you handle that, so I'll say it again. The longest that you want to go, so the question was, what do they say in 6 months? What do you do? The answer is, I don't let anybody go 6 months. The longest I let anybody go is 3 months. Because I know if I go 6 months, the odds are they already hired another agent. Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, why don't we do this? Would it be okay if I followed up with you, say, like in the springtime or so? Would that work for you? Yeah? Okay, great. What's 3 months from today? That's right. Right? So you just say the next season. Right? Because people get in this like we're in the middle of the winter. Spring seems like it's way far away from now, but it's not. Right? So I just say the springtime. Now, guess what? When I call you in the spring, what do you think I'm going to say to you? Hey, John, it's Dan Rochon, Keller Williams Realty. Hey, listen, you asked for me to give you a call back in the spring, and it's the spring. Just calling to check in on you. How are things going? So am I chasing or am I fulfilling a promise? So you set yourself up to fulfill a promise. If I'm chasing, if I don't set it up, then it's I'm calling like, yeah. Just like calling, then I'm chasing. So you want to set yourself up so that you're not chasing ever. You want to set yourself up so you're just fulfilling promises. And the best way to do that is to say next season. So I'll give you a call in the spring. Sound good? All right, let's go ahead and get started again. All right, so I'm opening up my book like I'm getting ready to start lead generating. That was just an instinct. All right, so presentation. So now we're going to talk about so now we've done the intake, okay? For the buyers, we identified what? Motivation and means. For the sellers, we identified what they think the price of the property is, and what's your expectation of me as your real estate agent. Okay, so those are the two big ones for both of them. So now we're going to go and we're going to present to the prospect. So first of all, when you're presenting to a prospect, first thing to notice is your presentation. Are you professionally dressed? Now, it doesn't mean if you're a gentleman that you have to be in a three-piece suit, yet you should consider having a tie on. You should consider having a sports jacket on, okay? And you want to make certain that you are presented in a manner that's going to be professional. Now, certainly if you're in a different marketplace, that means different to, I used to sell real estate in Arizona for a short period of time, and when I was in Arizona, a polo shirt was professional because it's like 187 degrees out, right? So you're not going to be in a shirt and tie. So are you on time? So typically, I'd like to be about 15 minutes early for a presentation, and I'll drive up to the corner of the lot, and I'll just sort of hang out for about 15 minutes or so. If the appointment is at 3 o'clock, then what you're going to do is you're going to come up to the door at 3 o'clock precisely. You're going to knock on the door. You're going to take a step back. You're going to smile. They're going to open the door. You're going to reach out your hand. You're going to shake their hand. And you're going to say, hey, Bob, it's 3 o'clock, and we had a 3 o'clock appointment. Nice to meet you. You're going to walk into their house. This must be a pretty important, pretty exciting thing that you're doing right now to list your house. I'm excited to be able to help you. Now, if they say something at that point like, well, I haven't decided that you're the one that's going to help me, well, that's no worries at all. Then it's my job to make you feel comfortable and confident that I am the right agent to be able to help you sell this house. Okay? Again, it's knowing what to say is what's going to be vital for you to be successful. The thing that people get, it's you have the opportunity to make a tremendous amount of money in this industry, more money than a neurosurgeon. So if you're not taking the time to actually develop your skill set, to develop your craft, then I strongly believe that you're doing yourself an injustice. You're doing your prospective clients an injustice and your clients an injustice as well. So that's what these scripts are here. I don't have a listing script there, but you'll learn a listing script in Bold. That would be, I use a script that I learned in Floyd Wickman and Bold, and I sort of combine the two. And the other thing is when I said take a step back, particularly if you're a gentleman, like a tall guy like yourself, you want to, take a step back so you're down one stair as well, right? You want to, you don't want to be intimidating, because you don't know who's going to answer the door. They may be, much shorter than you, and you don't want to be hovering over top of them, right? So especially if you're a gentleman, make sure that you're doing that. Now, does it seem like I've done that before? Okay, does it seem like I've practiced that before? All right, and I have, and that's what I'm encouraging for you to do. Where can you get a script and role play partner, by the way? The office, where else? Go on to Facebook, type in scripts and lead generation for the groups, and you'll find groups that have 40,000 people in them. And then go on there and say, I'm looking for 5 script and role play partners. I'm going to suggest that you get 5 partners, not 1. Why am I going to suggest that you get 5, not 1? That's true, but that's not why I'm making that suggestion. I'm making that suggestion because at least 4 of them won't show up on the second week. That's I'm telling you the truth, okay? So, like, if you really actually want to do this, you're going to have to get 5, and then you may get 1 out of that 5, and then get another one so you got a backup. And then once you get a good two solid partners, then go with that. How often should you practice your crafts, your scripts and role play? Every day. Every single day. All right. So pre-listing presentation. So we do 8 steps for pre-listing. I'm going to tell you what our 8 steps are, and you could choose to adopt some of these or not. So step number 1 is that I share with them a video. So I hang up the phone with them. Whoops. And then I did a video this morning. So I set a listing appointment today. There we go. Oh. My Bluetooth is picking up. Hold on. Okay, so I set an appointment earlier today, hung up the phone with them, and then I filmed this quick video. Just did a selfie, no big deal.
Hey Chris, Dan Rochon, Keller Williams Realty, greetingsvirginia.com. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me, and I look forward to taking a look at your property later this afternoon, giving you a call tomorrow at 4 p.m. And my direct phone number is 703-346-2776. If anything changes between now and then, feel free to call or text. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.
That's simple. And then I just text that to them. Okay? So that's touch number 1. Touch number 2 is an email that goes out, has our value propositions, why somebody should hire us, with a second video. Step number 3 is another email that goes out, same type of thing. Step number 4 is a pre-listing packet. The pre-listing packet gives the value of what we do and how we help people, and how we're able to, and why they should choose us as their real estate agent. Step number 5 is a handwritten note that is written, hey, and this won't work for this guy, but in most cases it does. Look forward to meeting with you on Saturday, taking great care of you, and meeting with you and your wife, Alexandra. Step number 7 is a follow-up call the day before for a reminder. Not a confirmation, a reminder call. Make sure that your terminology on that is clear, because we're calling to remind them. It's much more likely that they're not going to bail on you when you think that way. And step number 8 is another email the day of the appointment. Now, that's 3 videos that went to them. One that's a personalized video. When I get there, what do you think that their perception of me is? Am I there? Do I have to sell myself when I get there? That's right. I do not sell myself at an appointment ever. In fact, I don't sell myself ever. The system sells me. Okay? So now I get to the appointment, and when I'm at the appointment, then on a one-on-one basis, I'm there to figure out what their goals are, to advise them on the marketplace, to be the real estate professional, to be able to advise them on all the metrics in the real estate marketplace. And by the way, you as a professional, you should have a really good knowledge of the things that impact the economy of real estate sales. Because if you don't have a very good understanding and you can't communicate that to a prospective client or a client, then you're doing them a disservice. What types of things, by the way, are important that impact real estate sales prices or trends? Or what's that? Interest rates? What else? Inventory? What's the, if it's a buyer or seller inventory? What else? Location, also known as situs. That's for you that don't have your license yet. The rest of you don't have to worry about that. The government shutdown, Amazon coming in, infrastructure, the news, the media. We have the government is our economy. We also have government policy. Okay, we also have a lot of infrastructure improvement that's happened over the last 10 to 15 years. All of this impacts the economics. The biggest thing that we have coming in is we've had such a stable real estate market with the government as our economy, and now we're adding a very, very vibrant second economy there, which is going to be a technology corridor. So Amazon, the actual impact of Amazon is not going to be nearly as impactful as the businesses that will surround Amazon to be able to support that. Okay, so make certain that we understand, and that's going to happen from now until 2030. All right, so that should be for the rest of some of our careers. Right, that's going to be beneficial to the marketplace here. Okay, so so these are the types of things. So going back to the pre-listing presentation, there was 8 steps in there. When I get there, they see me as a professional, they see me as competent, they see me as credible, and now I can not have to worry about selling myself. Now I'm there to advise. Now I'm happy again to share any of those emails with you. Just send me an email. My email address is up here, Dan@Greetings Virginia. Tell me specifically what you're looking for, and I'll send you those 3 emails if you'd like. Okay, and then you can copy them and create your own stuff. Right, like take what I got, copy it, duplicate it, and use it. Sure. Yeah, I mean, now some of this stuff is not going to be easy for you to do. Like I have a video that I invested a few $1,000s into producing, and I made the mistake. So if you ever think about doing a few $1,000s into producing a video, here's the thing that you may not consider. Anybody want to guess what it is? You're going to get older. That's the thing. Like, is that you? Shut up. Right. So yeah. But video is a great way to market. But if you're gonna produce something, understand it's got a shelf life of a few years. All right. So that's the pre-listing presentation that we have there. And again, I'm happy to share any of that with you. And then we. You know, we're also gonna utilize Smart Charts, RBI. So if you go to getsmartcharts.com, we're gonna be using that when we meet with a prospective client. We're gonna be showing them all the market data. We're gonna be showing them the trends in the marketplace, and we use that for both sellers as well as buyers. Once upon a time, I was in a Pete's. This wasn't too long ago. And there was an agent consulting his client. He had these smart charts things, and he was showing them the list price to sold price, and I tried to take a picture of it, and the guy flipped out on me. Not the agent, but the client. And so I risked my life for the industry. And I was only doing that because I was so impressed with what the guy was doing that I don't see buyer's agents do that. Okay, we'll talk more about that. I'll put that on the side table for a second because I want to go back to that. But we use Get Smart Charts for the and when you're using Smart Charts, there's things that you're looking at. You're looking at, for example, year over year, you're looking at the inventory. And the inventory is, you can utilize this to be able to push people forward, to be able to motivate people to take action. Okay? So you utilize the data to motivate people to take action by interpreting it in a manner that's gonna be able to benefit them. Okay? So for example, if you see that the marketplace is it's 37 days on the market, where a year ago it was 57 days on the market. Well, that's great news, because what that means is that the market is selling quicker than it was a year ago. So when you list your house today with me, we'll be able to find you that buyer for the highest amount of money, the highest profit in your pocket that we can possibly find. And that's good news for you, right? So it's taking the information and then it's presenting in a manner that you can show them how it benefits them. Other resources that we use, we also do a RBI, which is the NARRPR.com, NARRPR.com. So if you're a realtor, you have access to that. You have to put in your ID there to sign up for it if you haven't already. So just go to NARRPR.com. And we put that, we share that information with them as well, because it's got a lot of great demographic information that's useful in the presentation. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't rely on that I just rely on that just so as a secondary resource. My CMA is what I'm going to rely on. Okay. Now, when I do the CMA, I'm not doing the PDF version. I'm doing the version where I can just email myself the listings so that you can open up the hyperlink and you can scroll through and show them the properties on your computer screen. Okay, so when I'm scrolling through the computer, and we're sitting here, I've got my computer right here, I've got this open, and I'm showing them the neighbor's home right here. I'm showing them the neighbor's kitchen. Where are we sitting? We're sitting at their dining room table. When I show them the neighbor's kitchen, and it's in a lot better condition than theirs, and I say to them, well, how does this compare to yours? And I've got the computer right here. Is it easy for them to say something that's not true? All right, so you have to show them the evidence right there. And then you guide them through it. I don't tell people what to list their property for. I show them the evidence. And then I let them make a smart choice. So my job is not to sit there and tell you what to do. My job is to share with you the information so that you can make a smart, informed decision. And here is what the marketplace is saying right now. Now, if they want to overprice it, I have a little bit of flexibility with overpricing. Not a great deal of flexibility with overpricing. And what I will share with them, if they do want to overprice it, and say, okay, well, here's what we'll do, Fred. We'll list it at the price that you want, and I'm going to be committed to selling it at that price. Yet, what we want to do is we want to watch the market. And the market's going to respond to your price. And if for some reason the market does not provide us with a buyer at the price that you're desiring, then what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the price. And so let's go ahead and agree on what that price is going to be to adjust it, and agree on that right now so we can go into this with a plan. You do want to go into this with a plan, don't you? Now, what did I just close on? Yeah, I did, but I did. You do want to go about this with a plan, don't you? Yeah, it's like I said, here's what we're going to do, and then my closing was a little bit of a side swipe. You do want to go about this with a plan, don't you? Who's going to say, no, I don't want a plan? But the overwhelming yes that they're saying is what that plan is, which is we're going to agree to the price adjustments right now. Who do I blame for the market? I call it the market expectations. Okay? So it's the market expectations, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to point that back in your direction. All right, the other things that I bring to my listed presentation, I do bring a Zillow printout as well. And I really just do that for my own information. I don't necessarily even show them that. I just bring that just so that I can know what Zillow says, because they do. No, everything that's on there in that marketing right there is all printed for me. The only thing that I do digitally is I do the CMA digitally, and I do a printed listing as well. You probably could get away with doing a dot loop listing. I don't like to. Again, it's just sort of, I mean, look, that's my CRM, all right? I'm sort of, you know. You could potentially do a listing on dot loop, DocuSign. Yes. Yeah, the listing agreement. Yeah, but I'd rather print it out. Now here's my close. You guys ready for this close? So we go through the entire presentation. Now remember, there was how many steps before I went to the appointment? 8. And then I go on the appointment, and then I have a skillful presentation, which I shared with you at the beginning of that. And then through the skillful presentation, I didn't tell you this, but I do about 5 or 7 trial closes. So what's a trial close? Not that to that degree, less. So here's a trial close. Yeah, you test commitment. So so just out of curiosity, I mean, would Sundays work for you for open houses? Right? So it's just testing commitment. When, you know, if we put a lockbox out here, should we put it on the railing there, or should we put it on the door here? I'm looking at the front yard here. Do you think we should do the sign over there so that we get the traffic flow there? Or do you think the sign over here? I mean, you know the traffic flow a little bit better than I do. So what do you think? So you're testing for commitment, good. And as you're doing this, you're just sort of poking them. I'm not getting as strong as hire me. Not yet. Okay. So again, so there's 8 touches here. There's 5 to 7 trial closes here with a skillful presentation. Now here's my close. You guys ready for this? How many ceiling fans do you have? How many ceiling fans do you have? That's my close. How many ceiling fans do you have? Because all that I do is I take out the listing presentation. On the second page of the listing presentation is the personal items. Okay? Because by the time I get here, the natural progression of a good presentation is a closing. Okay, and it's just assumed that the next step is just to okay some paperwork. So I just simply, at this point, it's just down to the paperwork, and it's just like, okay, so tell me a little bit about that. So how many ceiling fans do you have? Okay, great. And I saw that you have two garages. Do you have garage door openers for both of them? And I just start going through the personal items and just start filling out the paperwork. And then we said that, you know, $379, is that a price that you're comfortable with? Yes. Boom. And then by this time, they're 100% in, they're hiring you, and it's a done deal. Fred and I had a listing appointment last week. That was probably one of the easiest listing appointments I've ever had in my life. And we walked into the house, and the lady just looked at me. She's like, what did she say? She was like, yeah, we were in that house for 35 minutes, in and out. Yeah, she's like, we walk in, she's like, so can we sit at the table? She's like, well, yes. She said, what do we need to do to get started? Like, can we take a look at the house? Looked at the house, came back, and she's like, okay, what do we need to do? We just need to okay some paperwork. Okay, that was the presentation. Right? I've never had one that easy before. Right? That was pretty cool. But then again, it's a part of it happened because there's a process to this. Right? We're not winging it. There's a whole process to this entire thing. She was ready to hire me before I even got there. All right, so that's the listing presentation, the buyer presentation. I told you guys about the RBI with the buyer presentation. What you want to do is really important with the buyer presentation. One of the most important metrics is on the Get Smart charts. It's going to say list price to sold price, and it's always going to be about 98% plus in any area. Okay, so 98.6, 97.2, 99.2, somewhere in that range. So the most important thing that you're doing when you're working with the buyer is on the first meeting, you need to go through this information with them, and you need to point that out to them. You need to say, Sashi, what we know is that the buyers, the sellers are selling right now at about 99.2% of list price to sold price. So what that means is that we have to present this in a manner that we come in at least 99.2% if it's a home that you really desire. Does that make sense to you? At this point, it's a yes. You have to pave the pathway for the buyer, because if you don't have the conversation here and you're ready to write an offer over here, and now you try to have that conversation, it's not going to be receptive. You have to pave the pathway over here. Other things that you want to pave the pathway for with the buyer is things such as, has anybody in here ever had a home inspection? Somebody asked for 172 things on a home inspection? Okay, here's how you prevent that to happen. John, so one of the things is we're going to be protecting you so that we make certain that when you buy this home, that it's in good condition. Okay, and we're going to protect you by getting a home inspection. And then that way we're going to identify every single thing that could, that's wrong with the property. And what we want to do is we want to look at just the big items for this. All right, we're making sure that the structural, that the roof works, the plumbing, electrical, the appliances, that is all in good repair. Because you do want a property that's going to be in good repair, right? What we don't want to do is we don't want to sit there and look at all the nooks and crannies with the little dent in the wall and ask for that on the home inspection, because I could believe me that the home inspector is going to find a lot of things on this property, some of them which may concern you, but we want to just look at the things that are really important. Does that make sense to you? You pave the pathway by having that conversation up front in your initial conversation, so that when you get to that home inspection, that the odds are they're gonna be more reasonable in the way that what they're approaching and what they're going to be asking for. Okay, because again, if you don't have that conversation over here and you get here for the home inspection, it's you could be dealing with a big mess there. All right. Other things that we do is we also have the 2 showings or less conversation that we have with the buyer. This is a little bit more of a tricky conversation. I've had buyer's agents that didn't do this well that sort of got us in trouble. So this one takes a little bit more of a skill. So Jason, so what we're going to do is, I really appreciate, I'm going to go through a couple different scripts here together, right? I'll put these all together. I really appreciate that you took the time to go through and tell me exactly what you're looking for in a home. And when you share that information with me, what we're going to do is we're going to hit that bullseye. If we don't hit that bullseye, then we're going to have to change one of 3 things. It's going to be either the price, the location, or the type of home. So again, I'm setting up right here for, like what Fred was saying earlier, I heard him have a conversation about the condo with what we have to change the condo fees or whatever, right? I'm setting that up at the get-go. So what most of our buyers do, because I'm out looking at homes every single day of the week, and I know what the market is when they're as generous as you and sharing with me what they're looking for, that it literally, typically on average, only takes us about 2 showings to go out about 2 times. That's typically what we've seen the buyers. Now, I'm here for as long as it takes to get you the right home. I'm just sharing with you what's on the average. And in fact, we're going to actually find that home on the first time in most cases, and you're just going to want to go out the second time just because you want to make certain that emotionally that you're feeling comfortable and confident with this. Does that make sense to you? Right? Now, you have to do that with a little bit of skill, because I have had an agent once say that, and then the clients got a little bit upset because they're like, oh, your agent's only going to take us out twice. That doesn't work, right? So it does take a little bit of skill, that one script right there. we do that because, has anybody ever been with a buyer that ends up going 37 times? Right? So we want to prevent that from happening, because the reality of it is that that's only emotion. That's the only thing that's happening right there. Okay? It doesn't take 37 times to go out and find a home, particularly if you are doing your job and you're doing a proper intake and you're doing a proper consultation. You can go out on the first time and find the right home for them if you do your job properly. The reason why that sometimes doesn't work is because of the emotion of the buyer. All right, so those are some of the things that we're doing in the buyer presentation. So you really, you are really setting their expectations. All right, so that's the buyer and the seller presentation. What are you guys ahas from that? Setting their expectations in the beginning. Okay. Sure. Yeah, here's the thing. One of the things that I would suggest to you is, as you go through your career, every single time that something blows up on you, think about it. So the natural instinct that we have is we make other people bad and wrong. That's not going to actually help you. One of the scripts that I actually overlooked there, I'll tell you it now. There's a thing on there that says a 1 to 5 script. I had these buyers once upon a time. This was years ago, and they went out and went at many. They wrote about maybe 5 offers with my wife Tracy, who was here earlier, and none of them worked. And so then Tracy asked for me to see if I could step in to help. And so then I stepped in, and Josh and Gina were their names. And I remember Josh said to me one day, he says, okay, I'm going to write an offer on this property. It was over in Rose Hill, which is a community in Alexandria. And it was a property that they had already written on. And the previous offer did not get accepted. The new offer was less than the previous offer. The previous offer that this was not accepted. And I was like, well, so I'm like, hey, we've already written an offer on this. It didn't get accepted. It was more than this. What do you think? Just going through every single thing that I can. Well, we put the lower offer in, and then we said, okay, we're going to part ways with these clients. Okay. But as I was looking at it in retrospect, I said, what did I learn there? What the heck did I miss there through the process? Because again, this was early on when we were developing the process. And what I realized was I ran into sabotage. What I realized was that there was a passive person and a dominant person. And the dominant person wanted that home, and the passive person did not. So the passive person said to the dominant person, honey, we can write an offer on that property, but no more than $325, because that's all we can afford, even though $350 previously did not get accepted. So through that, we developed a system to be able to prevent this from happening in the future. And what that system is that we do a buyer intake, we do a buyer sheet, and at the bottom of that buyer sheet, it says rate this as a 1 to 5. And we take the buyer sheets and we give 1 to the buyer husband and 1 to the buyer wife, and we say to them, say, listen, when we're in the home, I want you to take notes. And then I want you to rate that at a scale of 1 to 5, and nobody ever rates it as a 5. So typically a 4 is going to be, is going to be something that we're going to be looking at. But if either of you rated it as less than a 3, even if the other rates as a 5, can we agree that we just pass it and not even have a conversation with it? Because ultimately, this home's got to work for both of you. It's an independent decision that you're making collectively. Does that make sense to you? Does that work? So we did that. We added that into the process to avoid that sabotage. Because now we have them not talk to each other and they have to rate it. Now, the other thing about that is listen to what I did there. Instead of doing it on a scale of 1 to 10, I did a scale of 1 to 5. So, and then I said nobody ever rates it as a 5. So I did that because I just eliminated the top 20%. So that a 4, which is 80%, instead of a 9, which was 90%, is a yes. You guys following the psychology on that? Okay. So then the other piece of it is if they do rate it as a 5, now this is I don't know if this The last close I told you about was my favorite. This is my favorite. But if they rate it as a 5, then I do what I call my hairy eyeball close. And I just look at, they rate it as a 5. I just look at it, look up at them, look at it. Right? And that's my hairy eyeball close. And I don't say a word to them. Right? And they say, yep, let's do it. Great, let's do it. And when they say let's do it, then they're 100% committed to it. For the homes that I'm showing them? For the homes that I'm showing them, I skipped through a little bit of the process. So let's say, we do one conversation on the phone, and typically that's going to be one spouse. Then the second conversation, I want both spouses to be on the phone. That second conversation, I'm going to share some homes with them online. And I'm going to share with them about a dozen homes, 10 to 12. So again, I'm sharing the homes with them online so that they can then narrow that down to around 6. Now, who's making the selection at this point? Yeah, because I'm the one that gave them the 12, but who thinks they're making the choice at this point? They do, because they're the ones that are narrowing it down. Okay? So you're giving them the control, but you're giving them a limited span of control. So now they narrow that down to 6. So now when we meet in the office and we finish the consultation, they've already selected their 6, so they've selected the homes. But through the consultation, you've narrowed it down to which homes that they have available to select. Does that answer your question? All right. What's one more aha, and then we'll move on. You guys doing all right with your energy? Only got another 25 minutes. We good? What did you learn from that section? Setting expectations. All right. And when you come across things that don't go well, reflect on it and then make adjustments so that the next time you can learn from it. Okay. So the buyer and the seller onboarding, there's not a lot for me to really share with you on this, except I have everything listed here for you. So if you're newer to the business, this will be useful to you, and I'll share this power slide with you again, so that you can go through and you can see, okay, what forms I need. Of course, you need to make sure that you're talking to your broker, because I'm not your broker, but this will give you a good guideline of what you're going to need for a listing presentation. Okay, I did skip through when we were getting the forms ready. I do a tax record when I'm at the listing presentation. We're talking about that close. So before I go into the actual close, I use the tax record just simply to get them to say yes. So John, it says it's you and Alexandra, you're both the owners here, correct? All right, and you bought it in 2013. You bought it for $279. Is that right? Okay, fantastic. And so I'm just asking a series of questions from the tax record to confirm the tax record. Yet what I'm really doing there is just getting him into the habit of saying yes. Okay, so that's going to be part of the listing forms that I'm going to have. All right. And then the other listing form is going to have is exclusive right to list sales agreement. Make certain that you have the exclusive right to list. Again, talk to your broker, but you don't want an exclusive agency unless if you mean to do an exclusive agency. And the difference between an exclusive right to list and exclusive agency is the agency is that if they brought in a buyer, then you don't get compensated. Okay, and the exclusive right to list means that no matter who brings in the buyer, you're going to get compensated. Oh, by the way, listen to my words that I'm sharing. I don't use the word commission. I use the word compensation as well. I think that that's an important nuance to use, because the general consumer, particularly in our age of commoditization, do not necessarily see the value of the compensation that you earn for the hard work that you do. And as we all know, It's a tremendous amount of work to sell property. All right, so that's, again, those are Virginia forms up there. I'm not going to go through those one by one, but that gives you, you'll have a list of this. All right, so a lot of times you're going to need to do repairs for the property. We have a property right now that's in Kingstown that's going through some repairs. It should be on the market on Friday. Hopefully you have, remember we talked about that networking, and we said, hey, I'm looking for the carpet guy. So hopefully you have your cadre of resources to be able to rely on to be able to get your properties ready. If you have great relationships with your cadre of resources, perhaps they can even sometimes finance stuff if there's equity in the home. If you can position yourself so that you can have some extra capital, one of the things that we offer as a service is that we'll loan money for improvements to be able to help a seller to be able to get their properties ready. Now, we only do that if there's substantial equity in the house that we can secure the loan to. One of the biggest things, if you are ever in the market to loan money, that would be the biggest thing to consider, in my opinion, is the security more so than the potential return. The security is the most important thing, in my opinion. So you're going to make sure that you get a copy of the key at the listing appointment. I always forget that, so we put into our forms now a receipt for the keys. And we actually do that because I always forget to get the key. So my wife got mad at me, so she put that in there now. So make sure that you get the key, put the coming soon signs where it's applicable, where you can put a lot of directional signs. Make sure you put your directional signs out where you can. And then you're going to put all the information in the MLS into the, they still call it Matrix? I don't know. Into Bright. All right. Different places you're going to market the listing. You're going to create a home tour for it. You're going to market it on YouTube, Active Rain, Pinterest, Google Pages, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Facebook is a great lead generation strategy for targeting potential buyers with the listings. And I don't have time to really go through all that, but it's a great lead generation strategy. I get around 5 or 7 leads a day from Facebook. I place them on a. Okay, here I had one that came in at 210 since we've been talking. So I place them onto Facebook onto a business page. And I do you're able to target people that are most likely to buy. You're able to target the people who are searching for Redfin, Zillow, etc. And you're able to exclude real estate agents so that you're not investing your money into your competitors. And you can advertise that property with a form. That form can capture their information and then share that information with you. So that's probably in of itself a whole nother class, but as long as you have a knowledge that it can be done, you can do a little bit of research. I'm sure you can figure it out, but if you can't, give me a call and I'm happy to walk you through it. $1,000 a month. And currently that's my only marketing that I do outside of my ISA team. So right now I have 6 ISAs, inside sales agents, 2 of which are hunters. The hunters are calling for sale by owners, expireds, and their circle prospecting. And I have 4 that are nurturers. The nurturers are calling through my database. So currently in my database, now not the 450, but my big database has around 11,500 people in it. So 11,500 people, they will take around 2,500 people each and call them on a quarterly basis. So that's where I spend the majority of my marketing budget. And then besides that, I spend $550 a month on viral marketing, which helps me with the video marketing. And then I spend about $375 a month on mail marketing, mailers. So my marketing budget is not that big. I've done radio advertisement as recently as just a couple months ago. We've really scaled back on the advertising to put all of our money into the ISA department. I run my ISA department through the Philippines. The best hire that I've ever made was to hire a hiring manager. So I've got one guy, his full-time job is he's right this second interviewing people for my sales team. And that's made a big difference in our business because it's really allowed for us to find the right people. All right, so going back to marketing your listing, these are the different places that you're going to be marketing at. Craigslist as well. I don't think I mentioned that. And those are all the buyer forms that you want. All right. I'm going to keep going on. I don't know if there's a lot of ahas from that. Any ahas from that section? There it is. Compensation versus commission. Yeah, I long ago, I don't know, that was something I learned early on, was to refer to as compensation, because it is. All right, client care process. Let me tell you about the client care process. The most important thing for client care process. So once upon a time, my daughter, who is 8 years old now, we lived in Alexandria, and she went to a Montessori school in Arlington called Children's House. And it was a fantastic school. And she started there when she was like 2 years old. And the school would, the principal, she didn't call her principal, the owner of the school, principal, she would communicate with us nonstop, like you wouldn't believe. And it was really sort of a little bit excessive. So then we moved to Clifton, and we get a new school, and nobody communicated at all. And we thought, okay, this new school is not good. And so one day I go to the new school and I observe it, and I realize it was just as good as the first school. But the difference is that the first school over-communicated and the second school didn't communicate at all. So I got a business lesson from that. And my business lesson from that is that my goal is to over-communicate with my clients. So our goal is to communicate with our clients 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and to make sure that there's at least one communication with each client each day. And this also helps us so that we're not working the weekends, or at least that we're not communicating with our clients on the weekends. Because if you're communicating with them Monday to Friday, is there really anything that you need to talk to them about on a Saturday or Sunday? Most likely not. Now, to be able to supplement that, we have 2 contracts to close coordinators that are based in the Philippines that are led by my wife, Tracy. And they're the ones that are making these communications each day. And then they're tagging me for when I need to communicate. And they're also communicating on my behalf via text. So they use a system called mightytext.com, mightytext. And through mightytext, they're able to text on my behalf. So it's a very economical manner to be able to afford to be able to have some resource for you. I strongly urge you to consider getting some virtual resource because there's people in this world that that can be really making a lot of money in our marketplace. What would you could afford somebody for $7,200 that would probably cost you around $72,000 in the Northern Virginia marketplace. So it's really a big difference to consider that. All right, $600 a month. Yeah. All right. So the biggest thing to understand about the contracts to close is that you want to. So there's a communication log that we have. So I mentioned to you that we're communicating with them on a daily basis, and then we're logging the communication. We're not logging that for any other reason other than for, when we talked about the scoreboard up here, we're logging this. That's the player scoreboard. That's the contracts to close coordinator scoreboard. They win the game when they communicate with every one of our clients every single day. That's how they win the game. Okay. And this is the agent scoreboard over here. Well, so on Mondays, we can give them feedback on the showings. On Tuesdays, we can, and you have to do it in different ways. So there's 2 texts a week, there are 2 phone calls a week, and there's 1 email a week. Okay, so maybe on a Thursday, you could talk about the upcoming weekend, anticipation with showings. The other thing is we do like an automatic MLS feed for the community. So maybe a property comes on the market across the street. So we want to say, hey, Bob, I just want to make sure you knew that this property across the street was on the market. They're listed at $450. They got 1 more bedroom than you do. Just want to make sure you knew about that. Okay, so sometimes you have to sort of think about what you're going to communicate, and sometimes that is a challenge, but there's almost always something that you could be communicating through the process. One of the great things is KW Command, when that's implemented in, around February 15th of this year, it's going to allow for us to have a lot more transparency for the clients. So they'll be able to see a lot of the back end stuff, and that's going to be a part of being with Keller Williams. So you'll be able to, to have more transparency, and then that's going to actually improve the client care piece of it as well. So that's something that we're going to totally embrace here in about a month and a half. All right. The other piece of it is we have a series of client care emails that are geared up. So like we already have all the emails. Again, if you want any of this stuff, just let me know. I'll share everything with you, but you got to give me till the end of the weekend to get it to you. And all the emails are already canned, right? Like we know if it's a situation, we know what email we're going to be sending, and then we just customize that email to their situation. I think that having a proactive business makes a whole lot more sense than just winging it or thinking, what am I going to communicate in this situation? Okay, we want to make certain that we've contemplated each different situation possible and that we at least have a standard of how we communicate in a scenario. And that's what we have all the canned emails ready for. Now, of course, again, like I said, we do customize those for the situation. All right, getting ready for the next section. What ahas do you have for that section there for the client care? Communication. Is that what you said? Over communicating. Okay. What do you guys think about that? Do you remember the beginning of the class what I said about our 86 communications? What the key to that was? Value and contribution. Okay, so yeah, you are right. Some people may get annoyed, but I'd rather you get annoyed and make fun of the principal than get annoyed and think the school sucks. Right? Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that I do business. There's no wrong, that what you do is completely appropriate. I'm not challenging that. I'm just sharing with you how I do business. Right. And what I find is that a lot of times people will say, nah, just give me a call once a week. But then somebody said it earlier. Maybe that was at that was at a networking event that I did this morning. He said something about, this was a plumber. He was talking about how he had a client that in 4 days had 47 communications. That same client that had those 47 communications, most likely, I can promise you, said you didn't communicate with me enough. Because that's the extreme to that. Right. Now, the other side of that, they may say once, but they would appreciate it to be communicate more frequently. And if you do it in different methodologies, it doesn't really seem like you're doing it every single day. Like a quick text on a Tuesday is a good little touch where it doesn't seem like, stop talking to me. So, all right, referrals, reviews, and past clients. So if you don't know the client, and even if you do know the client, what's the first thing you think they're going to do about you, if they're a seller particularly? Well, sure, that's true. If they're unhappy, they're going to tell everything. But let's say you got, like this guy that I just got the listing appointment from here that I talked to earlier today, Chris. What do you think the first thing Chris did when he hung up the phone with me? He Googled me. Would you guys believe that? All right. So now, if that's going to be true, then you want to make certain when they Google you that they find good stuff. They find great reviews and testimonials. Now, if you're newer to the business and you don't have a lot of reviews and testimonials, one of the things that you may consider, make sure your LinkedIn profile is done really well. And the reason why you want to do that is because even myself, who I've spent years and years and years and tons of time and energy and money on developing an online presence, LinkedIn's still in the top 3. And I promise you, if you Google yourself, if you're already on LinkedIn, it's probably going to be the #1 thing that comes up, or at least top 3, if you Google yourself. So make sure you have a really, really good LinkedIn profile. That's something that you can sort of work on with this. So when do you ask for a referral? Or when do you ask for a testimonial? Oh, man. That's probably true, Sashi. At the happiest time. You ask for a testimonial or you ask for a referral when you do something good. So, hey, great job doing this. I really appreciate that you brought that paperwork over to my house and you didn't make me come to your office. What the natural instinct is to say what to that? You're welcome or no problem. What a better way to say is, you're welcome. And I'm just curious, who else do you know that's looking for an agent like myself to be able to provide this level of service, the care that I've been able to provide to you that's in the market to buy a home or sell a home or invest in real estate? Give a call to today. Make the ask when they compliment you. You should have it ingrained in your brain that when somebody gives you a compliment, that should automatically trigger a request for a testimonial or a request for a referral, one or the other. That's when you ask, okay? Different places that you're going to be looking for testimonials, for referrals is going to be Zillow. That's probably the biggest one. Yelp, that's something that myself, I haven't really done a great job on Yelp yet. I will. Google, Facebook. If I'm going to narrow it down to 2, I'm going to do Facebook and Zillow. Zillow is going to be the #1. Facebook's going to be #2. LinkedIn. LinkedIn's an easy way to get some testimonials. You could do, I mentioned to you guys, we do viral marketing. So one of the things that we do is we do audio testimonials. My goal by the end of 2019, right now I have 17 testimonials, audio testimonials. My goal by the end of 2019 is to have 100 audio testimonials that I can direct people that are considering to hire me to that page. And there's 100 people saying, hire Dan, hire Fred, hire Tracy, hire Greetings, Virginia. The best way to, you may pay attention to this. If you're going to teach somebody how to do a testimonial, I don't have this written down anywhere, so pay attention. I may have it written down somewhere, but the best way to ask for a testimonial is you have to teach them how to give you a testimonial. And here's the pattern to give a testimonial. I had a problem or a goal. I met with Dan and he helped me solve that problem or achieve that goal. If you have the same problem or goal, you should call Dan and he'll help you. Okay? So that's a 3-prong approach. Now, a lot of times you can write the testimonials on their behalf if they're willing to do that, or you can teach them how to write a testimonial. So I'll say that one more time. The best way to get a testimonial for somebody to give you a testimonial is to teach them how to say this. I had a problem or I had a goal. I met with the agent and they helped me solve that problem or they helped me achieve that goal. If you have the same problem or goal, you should contact that agent so that they can help you. It's a very specific, it's actionable, and it's something that will produce you the greatest amount of results. So the audio testimonials that we do, we host those on SoundCloud. And then we repurpose those audio testimonials on other places online. Staying in touch with your contact with your clients. This sort of goes back to the lead generation piece, where we want to do client appreciation events. I currently do 4 client appreciation events a year. We do in the wintertime, we do a Toys for Tots, where we give out Christmas trees in exchange for donation of a toy for a tot. We've done that for 6 years. It's a really big event now. We just did it at my house this past season, and it was just jam-packed. We gave out, I think, something like 65 Christmas trees, something like that. Does that sound like it's expensive? It's a little bit expensive, but If you can get a Christmas tree for, say, $35 a pop, and that sits in somebody's living room for the next 30 days while they're having holiday parties and they're having good feelings, there's a really great psychology to that. I can't think of something better that they're going to feel good about you. Something that I've unintentionally done is I've created traditions. I just realized that this year, where I've had many of the people come to my house say, Dan, we really appreciate you for this Christmas tradition. All right, and then we do holiday wreaths for those that don't celebrate Christmas. In March, we're going to participate with the Falls Church movie night, and then we do a pig roast twice a year at my house. Right, so that's 4 client appreciation events. So we stay in touch with the clients. So once we service the clients, then we follow up with them. We mail to them. That goes into that 450 of the past clients to be able to stay in touch with them. Other things that you could do for client appreciation events, you could do coat drives, movie nights, shredded paperwork, game night, community barbecue, pig roast, canned food drive, coat drive, Christmas tree giveaway, or toy donations. The other part of that drive that we do in the wintertime is a Toys for Tots, and we raise, I don't know, like from here to that wall full of toys at least, that tall. I mean, it's really just a great thing to be able to contribute to the community. All right, team building and hiring. What ahas do you have about the testimonials and follow-up before we get last 7 minutes on team building and hiring? Teach them how to do it. Good. What else? Do it when they're happy. Yep. Should be like a Pavlov's dog on that one. Hey, thank you. You're welcome. Boom. Right? You should automatically be like, you should be programmed to make that request at that point. What else you got? Yeah, I'd say Zillow, then Facebook would be my. Zillow's a big one. I hate it too, but it is. So, doesn't matter how you feel about it. You just got to acknowledge reality. All right, team building and hiring. And so this is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent hiring chart. I know you can't see that, so we'll email you the power slide so you can take a look at that. But basically what you have to understand is a couple things here. First of all, in the hiring chart, to build a big business, you don't have to have a lot of moving parts that you're managing. You only have 3 departments in real estate sales. Those 3 departments are lead generation, administration / operations, and sales. Okay, so you got lead generation, operations, and sales. So if you want to build a big business, you could do so by only leading 3 people: a director of lead generation, a director of operations, and a director of sales. Now you could potentially add a 4th person that you'd be leading, which would be a director of expansion, if you want to expand into other markets. So when you build a business right, and you have the operations and you have the lead generation, then if you want to go to, like, say, Richmond, Virginia, you could do so simply by just having an agent or 2 in Richmond, doing the lead generation from them from your hub, doing the operations from them from your hub, and you're able to service those clients at a high level and do a lot of business. You certainly, part of the hiring pathway that you should consider is that the first thing in the hiring pathway that you're going to be looking for is a record of success in whatever it is that you're hiring. Once you find a record of success in whatever it is that you're hiring for, you're going to be looking for a certain degree of behavior. All right, so for example, in sales, what behavior do you think is successful in sales? Perseverance, yes, that's a characteristic. And I would say that's the #1 characteristic is perseverance. I love that you said that. The behavior would be relation and dominance. Okay, so what we find is that people in sales that are relatable to others, that are likable, and people that are assertive are oftentimes more likely to be successful in sales. That doesn't mean that you can't be successful in sales if you don't have those characteristics. So going back to hiring is we're looking for a record of success in whatever you're hiring for. Then you're looking for the behavior. Then you're looking for the values. Okay? What does this individual value? Do our values align? And you're looking for things such as work ethic, etc. That's the pattern of hiring to be able to build an organization. And the first hire that you should make, actually the first two hires that you should make in the pathway are administrative. So your first hire that you should make would be like a transaction close coordinator. You could use a company like MREA Assist that do a great job to be able to supplement that for you. Something like $300 a transaction to be able to do that. Or you can hire somebody virtual like I mentioned. I have, a virtual assistant I pay $600 to a month. That's the same as 2 transactions that that MREA Assist could do. So if you're doing more than 2, you may consider to hire somebody full-time virtually. So the second hire that you're going to make is a marketing assistant. The third hire you're going to make is a buyer's agent. I'll just keep it at that for now. You can go back to my big organizational chart there if you have a big vision. The current team structure. We have a director of lead generation, Anthony. We have a quality assurance, Julene. She's fantastic. Anthony's fantastic. Say a prayer for Anthony, please. His dad is passing away sometime real soon. He's in his final hours. We have 6 ISAs, and then we have a couple agents. Yep. You want to do a high level business. All right. So where to find recruits? You could do networking events, training seminars, paid job lists, Indeed, Wise Hire, Craigslist. And there's a pro tip. Oh, the pro tip. Do not hire out of desperation. That's the pro tip. You never want to hire out of desperation. You want to hire in a planned manner. And that is that. So, what are your ahas from the entire class today? Fortune's in the follow-up. The platinum's in the follow-up. The gold's in the lead generation, and the platinum's in the follow-up. What else you got? Systems and processes. Don't get scared away because you don't have all this. If you don't have all this, just build it one brick at a time. Meditation. Share value and contribution. Let me comment on that. Just like I suggest 1 to 3 hours, whatever you commit to, you commit to. 20 is aggressive. That's my commitment. Whatever you commit to, commit to. I'd rather see you commit to 5 contacts a day and do it every single day. You'll be successful. So whatever it is that your number is, pick your number and then stick to it. What else you got? Sorry to cut you off. Compensation versus commission. All right. Trial closes. All right, proper way to ask for a testimonial. All right, somebody else, one or two ahas, and we're done. Use data to influence action, and then you interpret that for them, or you help them to interpret it. What else you got? Say again? Mirror the conversation? Got it. Yep, absolutely. That's good. Yeah, questions control and blah, blah, blah dominates. Blah, blah, blah is not effective. Why is blah, blah, blah not effective, by the way? There it is. Yeah, yeah, because you're not listening. All right, one more aha, then we're done. Over communication. Good. All right, guys, I didn't do a sign-in sheet, so if you want my presentation, just put your information on there with your name and email address. I'll email it to you. I'll also email you a link to one of our Facebook groups that I'll encourage for you to participate in. If anybody wants to set up a one-on-one with me, just let me know. This is my email address up here. If there's anything specific in the curriculum that you'd like, such as emails, just send me an email. Let me know specifically what you'd like. I will get you our company manual that has most of this stuff in it. It may not have some of the specific emails, though. So thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the class.